Well, you'd think the Democratic Party would be thrilled to learn that the President of the United States is not a traitor to the United States, but they're not. They're in denial. Nobody will dare admit that it wasn't true. Senator Mazie Hirono says it doesn't matter what the facts say. Collusion is real anyway.
So just because there was not enough evidence for a criminal charge of conspiracy does not mean that this very cozy relationship that Donald Trump has with Vladimir Putin, who, by the way, must be really happy that this came about, that this kind of cozy relationship that is not good for our country, in that it's not transparent, will continue.
Yep, she's a United States Senator. Even other, less I would say more impressive Democrats are refusing to abandon the conspiracy theory. Many are spinning new conspiracies to explain why the first has not been proved.
President Trump is wrong. This report does not amount to a so-called total exoneration.
Now we have evidence over the last 2 years that the Mueller investigation was not covering that is highly, highly suspicious.
Remember, a big piece of this report does not exonerate the president. So, yeah, we've got to make that determination for ourselves.
But we cannot allow them to get away with this. He does this all the time. This is not the end of anything.
Now, that was Maxine Waters, and you could write her off and say, it's Maxine Waters. Like, who cares what she says? But it's not just her. Yesterday, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the most powerful Democrats in America, released a letter that did not mention the fact that the Mueller report found the president innocent of Russian collusion. So the question is, after 2 years of obsession, collusion can't be at the very center of the Democratic agenda because there wasn't any. So what is the Democratic agenda going forward? Richard Goodstein might know. He's an attorney and former advisor to both Bill and Hillary Clinton, and he joins us tonight. So do you think it's a little weird that the Mueller report on the central question, I know you agree with this because you've said it 1,000 times, the central question of collusion concluded the president was not guilty of it, and the Democratic Party doesn't mention that?
Well, again, there were like two sentences that Barr quoted in full, actually not even full, neither of which said what you just said. He said we couldn't establish, which is a different standard legally, that the Trump campaign had conspired with the Russian government. Doesn't say about WikiLeaks, doesn't say about Russian oligarchs, just says what they can do with the Russian government, because that was the Mueller charge, right? And as to obstruction, you have everybody saying, oh, we're exonerated, when Mueller, wouldn't you think the Trump White House would do this, said exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite. Okay. That's a bit much.
Okay, so obstruction, I mean, we're going to find out more when the report comes out.
Correct.
But obstruction of justice in an investigation into the question of collusion, that was one of the two things that Mueller was charged with finding out. How did the Russians interfere in the election, and was Trump involved?
Correct. Okay?
So on the second point, he determined, no, Trump was not involved.
No, he didn't say that. He just said we couldn't establish, which is a different standard than saying he wasn't involved. And when the facts and the Congress by 420 to 0 voted to get the report out.
Are you saying that the most extensive investigation in the history of the country since 9/11 couldn't get to the truth, but there's some other truth that someone else is going to find? Who would that person be, and how will it be found?
I think what we're saying is not that. It seemed like it was. First of all, can we comment on the comedy of the fact that before this report there was 13 angry Democrats and everything, and now those same people are saying, oh, Mueller did such a thorough job, and Democrats are frankly the opposite.
Well, I would say two things. First of all, I never doubted that Mueller would, lift up every rock, okay?
Right.
I think what Mueller did was disgusting. I think he should be ashamed of himself. What they did to the innocent, Roger Stone, Carter Page, George...
We'll find out if they're innocent.
Okay, they were innocent. They didn't collude with Russia. The whole thing was insane, and he wrecked their lives. So I think Mueller should be ashamed of himself. I think what he did was appalling, and I'll never stop thinking that. Yeah. My only point is, look, let's be completely real. Democrats charged collusion. Collusion didn't happen. No one was ever charged for collusion. At what point do you admit, we were wrong? Do you ever admit that, or do you keep lying?
Well, we know not from Mueller, not from the mainstream media, but from Manafort's own lawyers that he met with a Russian spy to give them the most top secret polling data, which presumably the Russians could have used to target key voters in swing states.
So why do you think no one was charged for that?
I think let's see what the report says.
No, but we know no one was charged for it. So why do you think that is?
I think we should see what the report says.
Do you think Mueller was in on it?
Would you agree that the report should come out? Would you?
Well, it goes without saying, I think.
Of course, thanks. So we're speculating based on the bar.
We're not actually speculating, because you made a charge. And you said this criminal thing happened, but no one was charged for it. And I'm asking you, why do you think that is? Do you think that Robert Mueller is part of this conspiracy?
I think Robert Mueller had a standard of what can I prove beyond a reasonable doubt. So we had two people. We had Manafort, who was lying to him, and we had a Russian spy who he couldn't get access to. So it's kind of hard to prove that.
Do you really think you guys can keep this? I mean, no joke. Do you really think you can keep this up? And after all this time, you'll be like, you know what? The problem is collusion.
Here's what I think we could keep up. I think Adam Schiff should have hearings, and Donald Trump Jr. now can't plead the Fifth, right? So he should be called in under oath and say, what did happen in that Trump Tower meeting?
Are you serious? You still want to talk about the Trump Tower meeting?
Absolutely.
After the Mueller report comes out?
Because what the White House should have done, you think it's a joke. The White House should have done,
I think it's
after the report comes out, they should have said, here's how we're going to stop it. And instead, they're just thumping their chest about, oh, aren't we great? No, the Russians, as Dick Cheney said, it was an act of war by attacking our elections.
I think that's a very silly characterization, with all respect.
Well, take it up with him next time you talk with him.
And everyone else who said that, I just don't agree with it. But really quick, in one sentence, the Russia investigations continue, is what you're saying.
Because we don't know exactly who did what, why, and when, and how to stop it from happening in 2020.
It continues.
And you think it's a joke. Most people don't.
Not only do I think it's a joke, I think it's a sad joke. I think it's hurt the country. I think it will cause the Democrats to lose in 2020.
Well,
but we'll see.
That might happen, but what hurt the country was what the Russians did.
Yeah. I don't think it really hurt the country, actually. I really don't. I think it's a total lie.
Our intelligence agencies think
you know what? No, they didn't. And I don't, it didn't hurt the country, actually. It's like one of these lies we all have to go along with. What's hurting the country is what China is doing, what our own tech companies are doing, what the opioid crisis is doing.
There are problems.
Russia did not hurt the country by comparison. But it's just a lie.
Yeah, Mueller found that the Russians did what we
said.
And if Trump's going to buy into what Mueller said, is he going to buy into that? Or is he going to keep
I don't buy into any of it. That's my position. Richard Goodstein, great to see you.
Thank you.